Hey, this is Alan Ram, and you're listening to the Dealer Playbook podcast.
You're dialed in to the Dealer Playbook podcast, where it's all about winning auto dealer strategies that deliver proven results. And now your hosts, Robert Weissman and Michael Cirillo.
Hey there, what is going on? You're listening to the Dealer Playbook podcast, episode 46, where every single week we're interviewing and having conversations with elite trainers, speakers, and authors for you, today's automotive professionals. My name is Michael Cirillo. I'm joined by Mr. Robert Weissman. How you doing, man?
Hey, yo, what's up, brother?
Not much. Just getting ready to pound out some pretty cool things I'm excited to tell everybody about. You know, I've been talking about it now for the last, 3-4 episodes. I want everybody to be aware of this really cool project that you and I are working on, and I want them to find out about it. I want you guys to find out about it. Hit up www.thedealerplaybook.com. There's a link to join our newsletter, and that's where we're going to be letting a lot of people know about this cool project that we're working on that's going to really transform your career in the automotive industry. So I want you guys to find out about that. Go check it out. But, you know, today we're sitting down with a really cool trainer. He's very well spoken. There's been a lot of controversy going on lately in the industry, which, of course, here on the DPB, we don't really subscribe to. We like to give, relevant information that hopefully will help you guys listening in out. And you know what? Our guest today brings up some cool, really valid points. We sat down with Alan Ram from Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions, and we got his take on some things that you could be doing to improve processes, especially when it comes to the phone inside your dealership. Robert, how'd you get tagged up with Alan?
With Ram?
Yeah.
Just
there it is, Ram.
Being around the business for a while. Ram Man, I like to call him.
There you go.
Which was probably my favorite He-Man action figure back in the day was the Ram Man. But just from being around the industry, I mean, I don't really have any experience. I know with his, products, basically his training. I know a lot of the guests in the past are people that I've learned from a lot. But, I've seen him out there. He's respected, and just, through reading some of his posts, his articles, etc., I've gained that the guy really, has got a grasp on it, understands what's going on, and has a different take on certain things that others don't. So that's what we want to do here on DPB, is bring you, not necessarily, I've said it before, how, Michael or myself think that, I don't agree with everybody's information that they've delivered, on every session, but we leave it up to you tuning in to figure out, hey, if this is something that's going to fit into what you're doing to grow your business and to dominate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know what? Lots of good points here. We're going to leave it to you guys to decide, like we say all the time. I mean, we probably say this in some way, shape, or form on every episode. The proof of ability is in results. And that's the cool thing about this stuff, is it's free information for you to help you take your career to the next level. So let's jump into our sit down with Alan Ram. Here we go. All right, everybody, we are sitting down with the man himself. He's the president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions, and I bet you can't guess his name. You guessed it, Alan Ram, man. Thanks so much for being on the show with us today.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited.
We're excited to have you, and we're ready to just jump into this, because I know you've got a lot on your mind and a lot of valuable information that you want to drop on the audience here, those of you listening in. So I have a question here, and I want to just kind of see where it goes. But I know, in the spirit of really trying to help dealerships improve what they've got going on, so that in turn they can sell more vehicles or products and services. In your observation, Alan, what are some things that you've noticed that could use immediate improvement for the betterment of the dealership?
That's a great question, and there's so many ways I could go with this. The most, they say that people, those that are successful, do the things that those that are not successful won't do. And I see so many shortcuts in the car business, and I equate a lot. I like using sports analogies and fitness analogies. If I want to get in shape, somebody wants to get in shape, they want to lose weight. The first thing they shouldn't think of is, oh, diet pills. The way to approach that is eat right and exercise. And unfortunately, that tends to sound like work to people, and that's why there's still a pretty good market for diet pills and those types of things.
Right.
And I think the dealers, what we need to do is we need to train our people to do their jobs. That's number one. Make sure we have processes in place, because that's something I don't see much of at a lot of dealerships. And we have to hold our people accountable for their performance. And, it's business 101, but training, processes, and accountability are some of the things that are missing from a lot of dealerships. And that's where I think that a lot would benefit.
So, you make a good point on the accountability thing. And I think there's also, when you have accountability mechanisms in place, that's just, it empowers people to become better and greater at what they do. So from your standpoint, what are some accountability mechanisms that can be put in place? Let's say the training's happened and people are kind of understanding how to do their job. How do we hold them accountable?
Well, just about every dealership in 2015 has call monitoring. And one of the questions I speak at a lot of dealer 20 group meetings, and I'll go around the room and I'll ask these dealers, how many calls do you get? And most of the time, it's anywhere to 10, 15, 20, maybe 25. On the high side, 30 real sales calls. And then I ask them, the next question I ask, okay, so you know how many calls you get? You have call monitoring, correct? Yep, we've got call monitoring. Are your managers listening to every single call that comes in? And I'm telling you, 95% of the time, the answer is no. It's, well, no, we listen to some. We definitely don't listen to all of them. I wish we listened to them all. We might listen to 10, 20% of them, but, and they say it like that's okay. And it's not okay. Think about this. If we did in fact come to work every day to sell cars, we're here to sell cars. What activity could we as managers be engaged in that it would yield a higher benefit, a higher result than listening to customers that just called the store, that want to buy cars today, listening to those calls and quickly resolving missed opportunities to do business? I can't think of many things. If I'm called a sales manager, I can't think of many things that I could be engaged in that are more productive, that would be more productive than listening to my real calls as they come in. And again, quickly resolving missed opportunities to do business. And some of the excuses that I hear for why it doesn't get done are absolutely ridiculous. They're nothing more than excuses.
So you're saying that obviously, so boom, a phone call comes in, salesperson handles it, what have you, that directly after the manager should be, in an X amount of time, they should be on the recording, listening to that, and then even proactively maybe calling that customer back or doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If I hear call comes in and I hear the customer ask, hey, you guys have a 2010 Ford Edge on your website. I want to find out, what could I buy it for cash? Salesperson says, oh, that one's sold, sir. Okay, great, thanks. Click, end of call. Now the manager can quickly resolve that missed opportunity. Number one, by coaching the salesperson, because if I'm a manager, that's my job, is to coach my sales team, but pick up the phone and call that customer. And there's, and I hear the excuses I hear, like, oh, they're too busy. Well, we need to prioritize what managers do. Give me, and I challenge dealers all the time, give me an activity, give me something that they could be doing throughout the day that's more productive than that, than listening to customers that want to buy cars today, listening to those calls come in and quickly resolving those opportunities. They get too many calls, that's nonsense. They get 10, 15, 20, maybe 25 calls a day. And here's another thing I found. The more calls the dealership gets, the higher the volume of calls, the more managers they typically tend to have on staff. So we get too many calls isn't an excuse. They're too busy. Again, what are they doing? These call monitoring solutions, whether it be Callbright or whatever the dealership might have, also they sort the calls out. If a call's coming in for service or parts or sales, it should go into the appropriate bucket. And if it's not going into the appropriate bucket, that's a call monitoring issue that needs to be resolved. But I should be able to listen to my own sales calls. There's nothing I could be doing throughout the day that's going to directly affect our business more than that.
And then you obviously you use this information from the calls you listen to spill back into some form of training, right?
Absolutely, absolutely on the spot coaching. And here's something interesting is an alternative to this. Dealers, we've got this mentality of, you think about this, and I call it, sometimes this BDC mentality. And not all BDCs, I'm not anti-BDC, but there are good ones and there are bad ones, just like restaurants, right? Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times the mentality is our salespeople, we listen to our salespeople, they suck on the telephone, they're terrible. The solution is let's hire another group of people to do what our salespeople should be doing. Our salespeople won't listen to us, let's hire someone else. That's not the solution. The solution is train your salespeople, put some processes in place, and then hold them accountable. The same mindset, the same weak mindset applies to this call monitoring. My managers won't do it. I can't get my managers to listen to calls. First off, if you're a dealer and you say, I can't get my managers to do it, the problem is probably you. Okay, that's number one. The second thing is, though, so now we buy all these things that enable our managers not to do their jobs. We buy these services that grade, critique, score, monitor our calls for us, okay? So here's the problem with that. Now your managers don't think that they definitely know they don't have to do it because we've hired a service to do it for them. Now, after the fact, we get a report, we get a scorecard, we get an email telling us we missed the call. Or the call is graded and we receive that grade. First off, if your managers are too lazy to listen to the initial sales call, they're going to be too lazy to open up the email and listen to the quote unquote coached call or graded call or scored call. Okay, mm-hmm. We can keep the laziness going. The solution is have your managers do it initially. But so now, maybe an hour later, 2 days later, sometimes might be 3-4 days later, we get this call and we can now listen to this missed opportunity. The problem is that customer bought a car 2 days ago.
Yeah, gone.
So now I'm finding out that Billy didn't ask for a name and number on Tuesday, or Joey missed a chance to ask for an appointment right here. Better luck next time, Joey. I don't need to know about that 2-3 days later, 4 days later. I need to know about it throughout the day. And I'm talking about managers having their call monitoring opened. And again, they're not getting this volume of calls that is prohibitive. Okay. I've got a dealership that I actually did a sales meeting at this morning. ABC Nissan. A lot of people, anyone in the Nissan world would know this dealership. They do a great job. They've got a strong general manager there. And when he got to this dealership, and it's a top 25 in the country Nissan dealership, volume-wise, he said every hour he paged his managers into his office. And he said every hour they listened to the sales calls. So if they got 3 sales calls that hour, he listened to 3 sales calls with his managers. If they got 5, they listened to 5. And then he'd be farming them out to the managers. Tommy, call that customer right there. What are we doing talking about One Sentra? Bill, call that customer back. That sounds like yeah, it's an appointment, but it doesn't sound like that guy's really planning on coming in. Call him back. And when he was setting the culture at the dealership for the first 3 or 4 weeks, that's what he did. Every hour he'd page his managers in. Now it's automatic. The managers listen to every single sales call. And when I questioned him on it, he said, hey, what do we have that we could be doing that's any more productive than listening to these customers that called us up that want to buy cars today? There is nothing. And I don't want to know about it at 8 o'clock tonight. I don't need to be opening up an email or seeing a score a week from now. I need to know that customer that called in at 10 a.m. this morning is going to be out somewhere buying a car at 4 p.m. If I'm only opening up my email, catching up on email tonight, or opening up my email, at 6 o'clock, it's already too late. They're going to be out somewhere else buying a car.
And the thing I love about what you're talking about, in this example, this, whoever they are, ABC Nissan, is that, we hear this all the time. Look, this kind of stuff has to happen from the top down, but you see what effect that has in a real situation when, from literally the top down, the general manager, the dealer principal has shown invested interest and taken the time to sit with his managers, review the calls, and at least they now know what his expectations are, and they can then take that down to where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, it's and it's funny, some of these other solutions. I actually discussed this last week on another show. I was debating someone who's the CEO of a company, and he has a call monitoring solution. Okay, he actually said, what did he say? Hang on, I've got the quotes right here.
We can't for the life of us figure out who that would be.
Yeah, the phones are a huge process leak in our industry, and sales managers aren't the answer. And then he actually said, if I can take someone who is in India, and let me clarify, this is not me saying this is him saying this during a debate. If I can take someone who is in India and they speak fluent English and they understand the parameters of a phone call and what's going on, they summarize that call, they plug it into the software, and it alerts the dealership that, hey, you just had a botched opportunity. So now that took it to a whole new level. We don't even have someone in this country that can monitor calls. We have to send it, and these are his words, not mine. We've got companies sending these calls off to India? Really? Now, here's the thing. We also need to look. Here's why I need managers listening to the calls versus anybody else, whether it's in this country or out of this country. It's because the goal of a sales call, what do you think most people think the goal of a sales call is, gentlemen? They think it's to set up an appointment, right?
Yeah.
And it's not to set up an appointment, okay? And I actually educated this gentleman on that as well. I asked him, what's the goal of a sales call? And he said, it's to set the appointment. No, it's not. Because how many appointments don't actually show up, okay? So which would we rather have? A customer who we set up an appointment with that doesn't show up, or a customer that won't set up an appointment that comes in anyway and buys? Obviously, the customer that comes in. Therefore, the goal of a sales call, we make the mistake of teaching salespeople that the goal of a sales call is to set up an appointment. And no, it's not. It's to get that customer in the door. So as a manager listening to the call, I can't tell you how many times I'll see a call that's been scored as an appointment, or a salesperson that puts it in the CRM as an appointment, and you listen to it. And you can tell, yeah, the customer set up an appointment, but I can tell by the way this gentleman said it, by the way the guy set up the appointment,
was
he has
just
no
to get off
intention
the
of showing
phone.
up.
Was just to
Sometimes
get off.
customers will set up appointments because it's the quickest way off the phone. So if I can hear that, I can hear in the customer the way they're saying it, in their voice inflection, yeah, this guy isn't planning on coming in. He just set up that appointment to get off the phone. I can still call that customer back. Yes, would it be scored as an appointment by someone else listening to the call? Yeah, it would be. But I don't get paid on scoring. I get paid for selling cars. So there's no shortcut to this, okay? That all the benefits, and again, we can make all the excuses that we want for managers are busy. That's a bunch of crap, okay? Yeah, they're busy. Everybody should be busy. But there is nothing. If they're too busy to do this, we need to reprioritize their day. What are we doing that's any more important than listening to calls? And the other thing, when salespeople know that the managers are listening to calls, of course they tighten up their game because they know you're listening to them. So, I don't believe in enabling people to be weak. At some point, we have to have expectations for people to do their jobs. versus salespeople, they just suck on the phone. They're not going to do it. Let's hire somebody else to do it. No, train them and hold them accountable. Managers, they're not going to do it. Yes, they will. But somebody, a funny story, another dealership here in Phoenix where I work, I visited them last week and I was talking about this, and the owner looked at his managers and asked, hey, how many calls are we getting a day? Manager said about 10. And the owner asked, are you guys listening to the calls? And the GM actually said, I haven't listened to a call in a year. And the sales manager said, yeah, I really don't. Yeah, I listen to them once in a while. I try to, but not really. And the owner asked why. And the reason wasn't because we're so busy, we're being overrun with customers, we're just working so many car deals. They just didn't think about it. They thought it was optional. So that's the problem. So many things are optional in the car business and that shouldn't be optional.
And it sounds like it's probably, compared to what you said, your the ABC Nissan, that I bet that I like that every hour technique. Bring them in, bang out, because it'll be three to 4, 5 max, depending on the volume, like you said. But that gives you real time that you can. I mean, I guarantee that they're selling a couple extra cars every month from something like that.
They're selling a couple hundred extra cars. They sell a lot. That place sells a lot of cars. But again, he did it when they were setting the culture for 2, 3, 4 weeks. I think it was 3, 4 weeks. He did that where he'd bring them all in. Now it's automatic. Now he knows every single call is listened to by his managers because it's the culture. That's
the thing I really like about this is at the end of the day, they always just blame their website provider for everything.
Yeah.
Man, we suck on the phone. It's our website provider's fault.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying here. I think this is going to resonate well with those of you listening in. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like that old saying that I use frequently. It's, look, shortcuts always turn into long cuts. If you're looking for, I think so many people, especially in this digital age and the technical age, so many people are looking for automation in their business, but I just think, along with what we're talking about, they're looking for automation in the wrong areas. And it makes sense what you're saying. I mean, if you want to become better at having people visit your store and closing those over the phone and just becoming better at setting appointments and all those sorts of things, you need to invest real time. It doesn't make sense to automate that process when you need to have that invested interest coming from the top down.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me ask you this, just in winding down here. We talk a lot about the phones, and a lot of people listening in are car sales professionals, worldwide now at this point. What are some things that you can suggest to them to kind of tighten up their game?
What are the things that I could suggest? They have to realize that the car business has really changed. Okay, it really has. The number 1.3 seems to be getting a lot of attention. And what that number represents is the number of dealerships that a customer shops in person before buying a car in 2015. So they're not rolling into 4 or 5 dealerships anymore. They're shopping 1.3. So if you're the second place that customer's planning on going to, it's too late. You're gonna miss that customer. So the car business has really become about conversion of opportunities. And we really need to take every opportunity seriously, whether it be a phone opportunity, an internet lead, a web chat opportunity. We need to convert quickly and aggressively because, hey, every time we don't, we miss a car deal. So it's not just about the phones anymore. It is all about the phones.
Yeah, and we see this all the time. I mean, even from our own metrics that we gather through our platform, we see that phone calls will outnumber any web form lead by, 7
Especially
to 1.
Today.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
And to me, from being there when I was in the showroom, and this was a few years ago even, but I always thought that the phone up was the hottest prospect, because like walking into the store is one thing. You could have been killing time, waiting for somebody to get out of the nail place across the street or whatever.
Yeah.
You could send in an internet lead, but just like shopping around. But when you take that action to pick up the phone and dial in there, that's a buyer.
Especially this day and age when so many people, we're seeing increasing numbers of people who are afraid to use the phone. They don't know how to use it. They know that there's apps on it and games and social media, but they don't really know how to use it as a phone. So imagine how powerful it is if they're actually using it as a phone to call you.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a big problem is the lack of training. You walk into most dealerships on a Friday morning and they're not training their people on the phones. They're doing a walk-around presentation. A lot of the training that we see in the automotive industry seems to focus on those in-person live skills. And a lot of what dealers end up buying that's called training isn't really training. They get to the point where they think, we can't train our people. It's impossible training our salespeople. And I'll ask them what they've done and come to find out that what they did wasn't even really training. It's, they sent somebody off to a seminar to listen to somebody talk for 8 hours. That's kind of like me going to a baseball game and expecting to come out of there a good baseball player. You got to training is a process. You have to educate your people. You have to simulate with them. That's, just like baseball teams right now, they're at spring training and they take batting practice every day. They take fielding practice every day. It's spring training and throughout the season. So they simulate, but then they're held accountable on how many statistical categories. And then when they don't do their job, there's a consequence. But in the car business, it doesn't seem to be that there's always a consequence. The kind of things I hear are, that's Bill. Bill's going to do. Bill's been here for 20 years. Bill's going to do what he's going to do. Like it's okay.
I like that baseball analogy.
Oh, yeah. Golf, anything. It's all about education, simulation, accountability, and consequence.
So that's kind of why like pitchers usually suck at hitting in the National League, because they're spending all their time practicing pitching instead of taking batting practice, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Who was that we were talking to once and they said practice doesn't make perfect, it makes consistent? Do you remember? Anyways, I think that's it, right? If you practice the phones, the right way, then you become consistent at handling the phones the right way. If you practice the phones the wrong way, which, I mean, whether, no matter how we look at it, if you're using the phones the wrong way right now, you are actually kind of practicing the wrong way to use the phone, and that's how you become consistent at it. So
consistently bad. And if you guys can't figure out who said something, just toss Vince Lombardi in there.
There you go.
He said pretty much everything, right? And you don't have to worry about it becoming
there you go.
out of date, because he's not going to get in trouble in the future.
He's funny you bring that up. It's funny you bring him up because we use him as an example all the time. I mean, every football season, right? Gentlemen, this is a football. You'd start from square one and he'd make sure that everyone was on the same page. And that's, that's absolutely what you listening in, you need to be focused on. You need to make sure that your team is trained, or that you're trained, and that you are becoming consistent at doing the right things, and that there's an accountability mechanism in place. That's not there to, make you feel inferior or whatever. It's there to make you powerful and there to make you great. So, Mr. Ram, Alan, thanks so much for being on the show today. We've got some valuable power bombs that you've dropped today. For those listening in, how can they get in touch with you?
Call my office. I'm a phone guy. So we've got lots.
I was waiting. I was hoping you'd say, yeah, just send me an email or. And what's the number to your office?
It's we're in Phoenix. It's 480-659-4665, and we have an 800 number, which is 886-996. Is that correct? 866. I never use the 800 number myself. It's 866-996-4665. I just call from my cell phone, so I'm not good at remembering numbers.
Awesome.
Those will be in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Yep, and make sure it's Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions.
Love it. Thanks so much for being on the show with us today.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. This was great.
No problem, man. Thank you. right. And that was Sessions 46's guest, Mr. Alan Ram Man. Michael, what'd you think, man?
You were hitting a tongue twister there, dude. The Sessions 46s. Yeah, man. You know what? Really, really valid points, I think. Ultimately, I think there's a great divide when it comes to this whole call monitoring thing. It's a crucial piece. No matter how you look at it, no matter what debates or whatever's going on out there, I think everybody can come to the consensus that call monitoring is essential for success to help improve processes. Now, he's got some valid points. The thing that I will say is, look, you've got to try this. If you want to see if what Alan talks about or whoever else talks about this stuff out there works for you, you need to ultimately do just that. Find out if it works for you. So I like a lot of the things that he said. Something that stood out to me was, he talks about a couple of managers in this episode that take the time to sit with their management team and review some calls. And I think no matter what your process is for call monitoring, I think that right there is still a crucial universal piece that should work no matter what. The management, if you're sitting down with your managers and that becomes a great opportunity for you to outline what your expectations are and to provide some training.
Yeah.
And
I think, not to cut you off, but I think that's where there can be some confusion, is because there is the training aspect of call review, of listening to the playback of the calls. And then also it's that like real time, like capture, put fires out and save a deal or an opportunity by going in and hearing it mishandled. And if you're checking on them at a, certain periods of the day, what have you, like there's deals to be had there.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I mean? So there's a couple different ways to look at it, definitely. But great session. Was happy to have Alan on. Hope to, definitely we'll bring him back in the future for other topics, because he has a, wide knowledge base that we'd love to tap into for you here. So that's about it, man.
I mean, that's it. Let's wind this thing down. So listen, for those of you listening in, man, we'd love to hear your comments and feedback. Let's get a discussion going. www.thedealerplaybook.com//46. That's how you can get hooked up with this episode. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to engage with you there. Also, a couple other things, man. We'd love to give you this free gift that we got going on our website. It's an awesome ebook that's going to help you take things to the next level. So all you got to do is subscribe and get your free gift. And then the last thing is, do us a pretty please little favor and give us a review on iTunes or Stitcher. We'd love to get your feedback. It helps us so much. So again, www.thedealerplaybook.com/46. We look forward to hearing from all of you. We love the feedback we get so far. So grateful you're listening in. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.
See ya.